All right. My name is Troy. I'm with my channel, Point 7 Out. Welcome to OBS setup with Skype and the Craps Nation Live Fantasy Craps KPI. Collaborative work from George from CY, some contributions from Andrew with Craps Down Under, and myself. I've added some new features and reworked a couple things, hopefully speed it up, make it pretty, etc. Yada yada. All right, without further ado, uh, OBS Studio. Where is OBS? Let's bring up a new browser window. obsproject.com. Just go to obsproject.com. If you're on Windows, click Windows, Mac OS, Linux, etc. This is going to download an installer. You run the installer, next, okay, agree, next, finish, and boom, you have OBS installed. And depending on how you install it and what options you select, you should have a desktop shortcut. For part of the setup, you will need a second shortcut here. And you'll need to, let me actually go ahead and, yeah, I want to show you the properties. So you can copy the shortcut and go into the properties, and we will need to add user agent equals super user. I believe that does need to be, I don't know that you need the quotes around super user, but dash user agent equals super user. And we'll get to that later. So for now, let's go ahead and launch OBS as normal. And oops, I've got some old garbage in here. This is actually my third attempt at doing this video. So let's close that. In OBS, if you find yourself with just a completely mucked up configuration, don't worry about it. We can just whack the whole thing super easy. Open up Windows Explorer, type in %appdata%, hit enter. This folder right here, OBS Studio, you can rename it or delete it, get it out of the way. I'm just going to delete it. And we're going to close that. Reopen OBS Studio. And this is what you should see the very first time you run it, is the auto configuration wizard. We are going to optimize for streaming. Base canvas. My monitor is an older monitor running at 1680 by 1050. We want our canvas to actually be 1920 by 1080 frames per second. This is more of a personal choice, but for the content that we're doing, that I'm doing at least, 30 frames per second is more than sufficient. All right. Service. We're going to set up for YouTube. YouTube does require a streaming key, a stream key, and get your stream key very easily just by going to YouTube, starting a new stream. There's probably other ways to find it, but this is the easy way. We'll copy that right there. And we will right click and paste it in there. And it does ask you for a video bit rate. Just leave that. We'll deal with that here in just a minute, because we do have some other basic settings that we will need to modify. So first thing we're going to do, come to File, go to Settings. Really don't need to worry about the general. You can change your theme if you want. There are, I don't understand this with the magenta in the cyan, but it's there. System theme, ew. We'll just leave it at dark. But this is all personal preference. All good. We've already set up our stream, YouTube with a stream key. Got our output. Let's change our output to advanced. And for streaming, we need to set our encoder. Make sure you're set to the NVIDIA NV encoder. It seems to do a wonderful job. I've only had this card for about 8 hours now, and I've been happy with it. I just got a new GPU that allows me to do that. We're going to change this to a variable bit rate, and that bit rate is going to range from 2500 to 5000, and we should be good there. Recording should all be the same. If you do any recording, you're going to want to change your recording path. Do not use your C drive. If you can avoid it, don't do it. I've got a second hard drive in here. My C drive is an SSD. My second hard drive here is a spinning Rust older hard drive, 1 terabyte. So we'll select that. Recording format, you want to leave it at MKV. It's a more stable format. If anything happens in the middle of a recording, this will preserve your recording. Where the other options, I believe, will corrupt the recording, and you'll have to start all over from scratch. Audio. Kill off all of your audio, all these desktop audio and mic auxiliary audio. We'll just disable those. We don't want them. We'll control those more directly later on. And that should be good. Video, we've already set our canvas to a 1080p. Let's go ahead and change our output to match at 1080p. 30 frames per second, again, is suitable for what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and apply. And OK. All right. First thing we're going to do is add a camera, because that's what we're here for, right? So we'll add video capture device. It's my overhead camera. Hit OK. HD webcam, that should light up. There we go. I don't have any options here. Depending on what camera you're using, you may have some. You can adjust the resolution, frames per second, the video format, etc. For that, we're just going to hit OK. And you notice right here, this added an audio source for the overhead cam. We want to get rid of that. So I'm going to turn the volume all the way down. I'm going to mute it. Then I'm going to lock it. And then I'm going to hide it. And that just prevents any accidental changes that would mess up your stream or recording. We don't want. Next, we need an input, audio input. Now, with that said, if you need to use your camera's microphone, leave it there. I'm using a different microphone. So we'll do an audio input capture. I'm going to call it Bluetooth, because that's what I'm using, is a Bluetooth microphone. My Plantronics. Hit OK. And there's Bluetooth. And you can see it's already receiving audio from it. Now, we want to add some filters to the audio to clean up. And you can do a search, OBS audio filters. There's a lot of information out there. The basic of it, though, is that you want to get rid of some noise, improve your gain, limit your output, and compress everything to stabilize your volume. So let's take care of that. So Bluetooth is selected. Go to filters, click the little plus sign, and the first thing we're going to do is noise suppression. And I'm just going to leave all these at default. You can find other information on it. You can also listen to yourself and make these adjustments as you get more into setting up your channel in your stream. So we've got noise suppression. Now we want to add gain. We also want to add a limiter, and that limits the output volume. Now we want to add the compressor. And the compressor does a little bit of the gain and does a little bit of the limiting. It compresses the audio stream to stabilize the volume, to give your audience the best experience possible, giving what your input is. And I lied. I'm going to go ahead and bump this gain up to about 3, because that's what works for me. Limiter, I leave it default as 6, and that should be good. So we'll go ahead and close that. And we can see here on my monitor on the audio mixer, I'm hitting the yellow, um, tapping into the red, so I might want to adjust that later, but that gets us started. At this point, you're ready to roll craps. You could hit that start streaming button and start rolling it out. You got your audience, but maybe we want the audience to be able to see what we're doing. And in the next video, what I'm going to do is add the KPI, the key performance indicator for Craps Nation, the Live Fantasy Craps document that was created by George, modified by Andrew Hacking with Craps Down Under, and more recently modified by yours truly, Troy with 0.7 out. Until we get there, until the next video, may the dice be kind. We'll see you later.